We are on air. Woo. Hello, everyone. It's Kaylene again, and joining us is Brianna. This is an old friend of mine who has
Hi.
gone through the surrogacy process. So, Bri, do you want to just tell us a bit about yourself before we just what you want to share before we start the questions?
Sure. I'm a single mother of two children. Henry is 6 and Sonia's 4. And ever since I had Sonia, I knew I wanted to be a surrogate.
That's pretty awesome.
That's about it.
Cool. Okay. Um, Hang on. I think we can just dive into questions because there's quite a few. So we'll see. And then
Okay.
this will lead us into like other directions as well. So this is like a four-part question. So I'll just ask the first part of the question. I'd like to know what inspired her to become a surrogate.
Um, well, both of my pregnancies and births were um, uneventful. They were really great. I wasn't sick. I wasn't bed rest, anything like that. I delivered both of my babies at home in a pool in my living room, and just that rush of love endorphins, and it's just kind of addictive. And I wanted to share that with other people who maybe aren't going to be able to experience it themselves. So I just felt it was such an amazing feeling that everybody should get to feel that at some point. So yeah, I just thought that the best way to share it would be with a woman who is unable to actually birth a child on her own. So
So were they there for the birth?
they were, yeah, both the parents were there at the birth, and it was at home in a pool in my living room, and both of their mothers were there as well.
Oh,
It was really that special moment that I had hoped for after the long birth. It was nice. It was amazing to see the mom. She did skin to skin right away. She was at the edge of the birth pool and she took the baby out and did skin to skin right away. And just everybody was just so emotional, and it was a lovely moment.
it's making me want to cry right now, and I wasn't even there.
Yeah. I've tingled even just thinking about it.
Oh.
It was an
See,
amazing moment. But that rush of love endorphins that I felt after the birth of both of my children, I didn't feel it with this one. I didn't reach out to touch her or anything like that. I was felt very, very detached from her. Um, so it was nice to see another family coming together and feeling all of that.
oh, that's just lovely. Oh, that's something else that I was going to ask because I've I think I remember hearing you talk about like thinking about doing it a long time ago, and I was thinking, I wonder if I could do that. And I always thought that I would feel too attached to the baby and it would be too difficult. So you
Mhm.
just, I mean, through the pregnancy at all, were you just, was it difficult? Like, did you feel that attachment throughout the pregnancy, or were you just like, no, this is, I mean, it was fine, it was an easy process?
Yeah, well, it wasn't my egg. It was the father's sperm and an egg donor's egg. And I actually kind of felt guilty when I was pregnant that I didn't feel more attached to the baby. Um, I did kind of, when you already have a couple children, you're chasing around and you kind of forget that you're pregnant. But I did feel very detached from her the entire pregnancy. So
That's
I
interesting.
never actually growing up ever wanted to have children. So I feel like maybe for somebody like me who didn't necessarily have those, I don't want to say motherly instincts, because obviously after I had my children, I do feel very motherly. But maybe it was just easier for me because I never had those dreams of having, 5 children, big family or anything, and very much finished having children after my two. So I never wanted a third child. I never wanted that for myself. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why it was easier to be detached as well.
I think it probably made it a lot easier though too, hey? To just
Um,
hand off the baby, and that's pretty awesome. Okay, let me just check on this other. So the next part, um, what has the most surprising experience been about this process? Or maybe we should even just like start at the beginning. I mean, how did you become a surrogate?
Well, after I had my daughter, I knew that I wanted to be a surrogate, and I would just randomly tell people. You know, people always are asking, "Oh, are you going to have a third child? When are you going to do this again?" And I always said, "No, I'm not going to have a third, but I'd like to be a surrogate someday." I would just throw it out there. A couple other families had approached me, and it just wasn't the right fit. And then when these parents found me, it was actually the father's cousin is an acquaintance of mine. So when they needed a surrogate, they started phoning everybody they knew. When they got to his cousin, she said, "Oh, I know somebody. She would be a good match for you guys." And yeah, I met with them, and instantly, as soon as I met them, I knew that it would be a good match. And I guess maybe that was the most surprising, was actually finding a family that it was really important to me that they had the same values as I did when it came to parenting, and that she would have, if she could have, had the same kind of pregnancy and birth that I wanted as well. Whether we were going to be able to have the home birth or not, just knowing that she wanted the same things that I did out of a birth. So, yeah.
That's amazing.
The other families were very against that sort of stuff. I guess
Oh,
after going through so many problems just trying to get pregnant and whatnot, I can understand how families would want this baby to be as safe as possible. And in a lot of people's eyes, that's in a hospital and it's with doctors. But thankfully, these parents were just so loving and so trusting of me, and they were like, "No, these are your expertise. This is your side of the deal." So they trusted every decision that I made, which was really
yeah.
nice.
That's fantastic. And I think people should probably know that you are in Canada. So I think some of the rules and regulations around even birthing may be a bit different in locations where they are. So yeah, I
Right.
know even in Saskatchewan now, it's like thumbs up to home birth finally. So
Right.
let me just open this because I think there might be some chats going on. Ooh, hi from Australia. So there's people from Australia watching too. So we've got For the Love of Sorted is her YouTube name, and the Country Bumpkins, she's Canadian as well. She's from Manitoba. All right. And let me just open the second part. I'm just flipping between like the chat and the Facebook so we don't miss any questions.
Sure.
So on the flip side of the most surprising experience, what has been the hardest part of the process?
Mm, the hardest part. Um, I think for me being a single mom, maybe that wasn't the best decision for me to do, take on this role as a surrogate, just because you do need support. Luckily, my mother came and stayed with me for a couple of weeks. You know, anytime you're pregnant and you have children to chase around, it's quite difficult. Thankfully, my children are very familiar with birth and that whole process, so they understood from the moment we met these parents that the reason why we're meeting them is to grow a baby. And they were very open and very understanding, but they're still young children and they want me to chase them around. And after I give birth, they want me to they want to climb all over me again. And I guess being a single mom, it was kind of, I could see how I probably should have had some extra support around. Or, yeah, maybe if I had a husband or something, it may have been easier. But I managed.
Yeah, yeah. And you're one of the strongest women that I know, so it doesn't surprise me that you were able to do that. So,
Thank
yeah. Oh, that was the oh, that's corny face. So on the other side of that, um, they also want to know what the most rewarding aspect was.
Oh, after I give birth, it was very nice to see that family come together, and it was very, you know, that sense of relief after you give birth. And then I got to sleep all night long. I didn't have to get up and nurse a baby. And I got to see the family the next day, all like bags under their eyes, but still so happy and so joyful. And yes, I got to, you know, I got to be pregnant. I got to give birth, but I don't have to. I don't have to change diapers and nurse all night long. That was pretty nice. I'm glad that like I figured out kind of the best of both worlds in that, because I really enjoy being pregnant and I enjoy giving birth. So that was.
So to go hand in hand with the rewarding aspect, did you want to share what you mentioned to me before about the naming of the child? Did you want to share that? It's up to you.
Yeah, I can. So my name is Brianna. Everybody calls me Bri for short. And they named the baby Brielle and asked me beforehand if that was okay because the mother about 9 years ago had a hands of light therapy done, and she saw when she was having this therapy done a baby girl, and she just knew that the baby's name was Brielle. And so when they met me, they thought maybe some signs got confused or something, and that I was the Bri that was supposed to come into their lives. And when we found out that I was pregnant, you know, they were over the moon. And when we found out it was a girl, they were just so ecstatic. And they asked me if they could still name her Brielle. So I kind of feel that it's nice because I kind of like to think that it's sort of after me, but
Yeah, it sounds like it is, eh?
yeah. Yeah, so it's nice. And the child's going to be in my life forever. She lives in a different city, which I think is nice because we kind of have taken on, myself and my children, kind of as the auntie and the cousin's role, you know? So they're just far enough away that I don't have to feel like a need to go see them all the time, but close enough that I can visit them once every couple months. And they still send me pictures and videos all the time, and yeah, I can be the fun auntie.
Awesome. So I've got for the love of sorted, the lady in Australia just mentioned that home birth isn't really allowed in Australia, and she wants to know the age of all of the children.
My children?
Yeah. So including Brielle now.
6, 4, and she was born this summer. So she was born the end of July. She was 12 months? No, sorry, 12 weeks, I mean. They sent me a video, 12 weeks old.
Oh, so sweet. All right, so.
Allowed in Australia? Home birth is not allowed in Australia?
Yeah, that's what she said. It's not really allowed. So maybe, I think her name is Mel. Yeah, it's Mel. Mel, if you wouldn't mind just sort of typing in the chat box once you hear this, because I think there may be a bit of delay. What isn't allowed? Is it not allowed at all, or is it just more strict? Maybe give us a little brief so we can touch base on that. So let's just move on to, okay, let's see. What have you learned about the legal side of it all that was surprising? So, I mean, even some of the logistics, depending on where you are in the world, will be different. Do you want to share what you know about it in Canada?
Yeah, of course. So the fertility doctor wouldn't actually do an embryo transfer unless we had signed legal contract and we had both, we'd each spoken with our own lawyers. So I was really surprised at that. I guess I went into it completely naive because I didn't do any research on what it takes to become a surrogate because I was just throwing it out there that I wanted to be a surrogate. So I was really surprised that I needed a lawyer and that we needed contracts and things like what would have happened if the parents would have both died while I was pregnant. So all this had to be put into the contract, right? Things that I never even had thought about before. And then, of course, in Canada, it's illegal to get paid for this. So it also has to be put into the contract, though, that they have to pay for all of my prenatals, all of my gas to get to the midwives and back, any extra food I'm eating because I'm pregnant. And then, of course, I'm on mat leave right now, so I get the 15 weeks of mat leave, and they have to pay the top up. So it's like I'm not missing out on any work whatsoever. So I guess all of it was very surprising and I was very green. I had no idea what was happening. But
Wow. And I
yeah,
know that when I've thought about surrogacy in the past, it was always after seeing those shows in the States where people would be surrogate moms and they would get paid like, you know, $50,000 or something, and I was like, oh, pregnancy wasn't that bad. Maybe, that money would be nice for a student, right? So, oh. But I was always like, wow, she wants to be a surrogate, but there's like they don't get paid for it. So I think that's amazing that you would willingly go through, like, and I guess your childbirths weren't overly traumatic, or but to willingly go through like that, it is a trauma to go through childbirth. It's commendable and amazing that you
right.
would, yeah.
I know, like, and I never even thought about it, and maybe that's why my birth always goes so well because, like, I don't even have a TV, so I don't watch those shows about. I don't, I don't even know what they're called, but I know that they have TV shows about people giving birth, right? And people always tell me, like, oh my goodness, what happens if you die? What happens if something happens to you? And I was like, wow, I haven't even thought of that before. I just kind of assumed that, well, I'm just going to give birth and everything is going to be fine. Um, so again, maybe it's my mind over matter, but also my naivety. My ignorance is bliss. I'm not going to get hurt. Well, I should have thought about all that beforehand, but I'm glad that I didn't, because maybe then I wouldn't have done
Oh,
it.
um, just got a few. Oh, okay. They would have. So, the person on the midwife, or sorry, on the home birth in Australia said they would have supported me if I'd wanted to, but then there was an extra expense too. I had
Oh,
a I had a water birth in a birthing suite at our local hospital though. So,
that's nice. I think
yeah,
in some other countries, the midwives work in the hospitals, right? I think in Canada, that's where it's different. It's just doctors in hospitals, but midwives can transfer to the hospital, right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know the midwife was there with us for Milo's birth in the hospital, and then she was home with us. So I think, yeah, they can transfer to wherever in Canada. So did you then you had like midwives and doulas and whatnot for Brielle's as well?
I had the same midwives for all three of my births. Yeah, so that was nice to have the same midwife there by my side for all three. Maybe
That's
that's why I keep wanting to be pregnant because I love my midwife so much.
you can't just become friends with her, right? You have to just keep on getting
Told me
pregnant.
after this one, she said, "Bree, how about next time you want to hang out, just call me and we'll go for a glass of wine instead of getting pregnant."
That's funny. All right. Okay, so let's skip to this is an interesting one. So why would people rather hire a surrogate over adoption? So
Well, these parents actually went the adoption route, thinking that there was no way that they were going to find a surrogate. So they started to look into the adoption process, and um, they said it just didn't feel right for them. Um, they went through a couple of the interviews, and they felt very violated in the interviews. The information that this interviewer was requiring for like their parents and their distant relatives as well, which I understand because you're putting a child into this family. They need to know everything about this family. But for these parents, they didn't feel comfortable with all of that. And in the end, I think that they really wanted a child that was a piece of one of them.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Adoption is great as well. I mean, there's babies out there that need families that are already born, right? I think every person has to look inside themselves and realize what is right for them.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's it for the questions on that one. On that particular link. So, I'm just thinking I was writing out some other questions as well, because I'm sure there's lots of details that you've got in there. So if somebody in Canada, or if, well, Canada specifically because we're here, so it's a bit easier to explain, wanted to become a surrogate, how could they go about doing it?
Apparently, there is a company out of Toronto that matches surrogates with parents, um, potential parents. I didn't go that route because I wasn't there yet. I had thought about checking out their website, but I never actually got to it yet. I mean, when I met these parents, Sonia was 3 years old, so I was they kind of came along at the right time where my body was healed and ready to have another child. And I think if it would have been a couple more years, then I probably would have checked out this company. But yeah,
That's crazy. So is there, um, do you know about the company? Like, is there fees to go and work with them, or is there fees like on behalf of the parents or something? Or
I know nothing about it, so I
okay,
can't really speak to it, unfortunately. I was
okay,
lucky to have found the parents, or they were fortunate to have found me. But I think that if you want to be a surrogate, just throw it out there. Tell people, tell friends, tell family that you're interested in this, and even just talking about it with other people, I think would help you to put some things into perspective, help you to understand if you really want to do it or not. But if you throw it out there, I mean, there's so many people that, even since having this child, a lot of people have approached me to be a surrogate for them, or I know somebody, it's constant. People people are out there looking for surrogates. So
so I just got another few questions here from for the love of sort of from Mel. Would you do it again?
uh, I said no. No. I don't. I'm 37 years old. I've got two young children. I think that now is probably a time where I should focus on myself. I think I need to start focusing on myself. But I do know every once in a while it goes through my brain like I could do that again. I could do it again, but I shouldn't. I should.
I'm sensing slight apprehension in but I
I
shouldn't.
just gave birth 3 months ago. I should just focus on me for a bit.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so do, do, do. Um, did you do anything different in your third pregnancy in terms of diet, exercise, supplements, etc.? Did the family have any special requests?
That's a good question. I did not. In fact, I kind of feel badly. I didn't do any prenatal yoga or anything like that, but I feel like maybe I should have been doing that I did with my first. I mean, I took the prenatal vitamins. Um, I'm a pretty healthy eater, so I just continued with my regular and ate what my body was craving. And the parents were fortunate for me, very supportive of all that. I have heard of kind of the horror story of surrogates, the parents being very overbearing and very controlling and no, you cannot go to work. No, you cannot work out. No, you can't eat this. You have to eat that. And fortunately for me, my parents were very trusting and they were great. I didn't feel a pressure to be a certain way, and I just continued on life the way I normally do.
Yeah. I can imagine you probably like stayed off the skateboard though, right?
I stayed off my skateboard, yeah. But I did fly to like 37 weeks. I'm a flight attendant. And yeah, I continued flying till about 37 weeks pregnant because I didn't want to go on modified duties and just sit around in an office. And the parents were totally cool with it. So they said that they trusted me, which I
Hmm.
think is very, very important um, with a surrogate and parent relationship, that each other trust each other, one
Yeah,
another.
absolutely. Okay, they keep on asking questions on here, Bree. All right, so um, now I need to figure out how to scroll down on this thing or scroll back up. Okay, where did you go? Okay, I'll try scrolling back up in a minute, but I can see one right here. So, how often did you meet with the surrogate family?
Oh,
So
well,
that before you were pregnant or during or whatever, the whole
yeah.
process.
So I met them in June of 2013, and I lived in Victoria, BC, and they would come over probably once a week, just bring the kids and I breakfast, just to say hi, that sort of thing. The entire process. They would also babysit my kids when I lived in Victoria. They were very supportive. Unfortunately, I had to move to Calgary, Alberta, in August. No, sorry, September of 2013. So I was only in the same city as them for a few months, and then I became pregnant the end of October 2013. So I guess it took from that June meeting till the end of October to get all the legal documents done and all of the tests done on me through the fertility doctor and the fertility clinic, and then for me to start on the hormones and whatnot and get my body ready for the transfer. Yeah, and then once I was pregnant, we would check in every couple days on the phone, but it was not always about the pregnancy. It was like they're friends of mine. They're great friends. I know their entire families, and I really feel like I'm part of their family now. So, we would FaceTime once a week. And like I said, it was more they were concerned about my life, and I was concerned about their lives. It was some genuine friendship. It was nice.
That's
And we
beautiful.
still maintain that friendship. We still talk, and they still send me pictures of the baby, and we talk about things other than just the baby. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
I do have, well, first I just wanted to throw out a compliment on here. I've got, for the love of sport, it said, you look amazing. You have given the ultimate gift.
Oh,
So,
thank you. Thank you.
and from Sanella Reyes, she just joined in here. She wants to know if you happen to know the information on the organization or a website with the information, like the one out of Toronto that you were talking about. If you happen to know what they were called.
I don't.
Okay.
It was just a quick Google search that even helped me find them or made me aware of them in the first place. So I don't even know that was years ago, so I'm not too sure if anything else has popped up since or what else is out there.
Okay. Um, Next question is, do you know any other surrogates?
I don't. When I first became pregnant, there was a mom at my son's school whose doula had been a surrogate. So I reached out to her a couple times via email. I think she emailed me back once, but we never really connected. And I'm not really a super, I know we're doing this over the internet now, but I'm really not into that sort of stuff. So I never sought out other surrogates. I'm sure there's probably groups out there or something. I don't know where I'm sure I could have found others, but I guess for me, I was kind of worried that I would run into a lot of the negative side of it, you know, and people telling me their horror stories, and I didn't want to hear any of that. Um, so I didn't even seek anybody out. So, no, I don't. If you know of anybody who had a fantastic experience, I'd love to chat with them.
Yeah, I know. Gareth and I were watching something on Netflix the other day, and there was like a video on there that we like started watching but turned off about someone who had become a surrogate. But the family had decided like partway through the pregnancy that they wanted nothing to do with it and had just like disappeared. So yeah, yeah. But that's not the type of experience we're talking about here. No.
No. No.
Yeah. But I think it's good that you obviously you had a relationship with them, you know, so it's good to have that trust as well. So
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry. I was just
nope.
gonna say, like this family. It was really important to me that one of the families that had approached me before about becoming a surrogate, they were not at a good place in their relationship. They were fighting a lot, and I think like they obviously when you're trying to get pregnant, it's difficult, it's stressful, and any relationship is going to go through their ups and downs. And I just felt that this couple were just they needed a baby to fix their relationship, and I was like, I'm not going to get involved in that. When I met these parents, they said they'd been through all that, you know, and they were just, if it was meant for them to just be without children, that's fine, and they would love each other till the day they died. You know, like it just, as a relationship, they were very solid, and I just knew that they were ready. They felt like they were ready. It'd been like a 9-year journey for them. Insane. So they've been through all the ups and downs, so I felt pretty confident that they were going to keep that baby.
Yeah. The next, sorry to like bring in that negative story. I've got a couple of really good questions here. So first one from Sanella. She's wanting to know, are the hormones necessary and standard for all surrogacies or for all surrogates?
Yeah, I had those same questions. I was not keen on taking the hormones, but the fertility doctor said yes, I had to do it. They had to take over my menstrual cycle, and that's what these hormones were doing.
Oh, just my computer. Sorry, this might be awkward for a second. Just need to replace. There we go.
So that's why they had to do it. I think that the hormones that you have to take to have an egg extracted are 10 times worse, from what I've heard. Then you're actually taking the hormone shots and all that kind of stuff. I think that's a lengthy process. Mine was actually quite short-lived. It was only 4 weeks before the embryo transfer, and then I had to continue on some of them for the first trimester, so for the first 3 months. They didn't.
And what were the hormones?
That's a good question. One started with the E. I don't know. It was like a year ago.
Was it like progesterone and like estrogen and all of those types of things, or?
Yes, I had to take progesterone, and I had to take another one that started with an E. That one gave me the headaches. The one that started with the E. That's how come I remember that one, because I did not like having to take that one.
All right. I've got one other one here. Do you do you have awkward moments now? Acquaintances ask you where the baby is. I mean, did you have people that saw you when you were pregnant, but you didn't feel like explaining to them, oh, I'm a surrogate, so you just, I mean, do you have people come up to you now and say, there's three? Like,
it has happened a couple times actually at Henry, my son's school, because they saw me at the end of the school year very pregnant, and then expecting me to come back in September with a little people that I didn't really know at his school that I would just see at drop off and stuff and didn't really chat with. So yeah, a few of them were kind of, trying not to ask specifically, but then when I would kind of volunteer the information, like, oh yeah, I gave birth, and then I've had all this time off because I was a surrogate, and it's fantastic that I have all this time off now. The parents are like, oh, I was wondering where that baby was. So luckily, like nobody's actually come out and said what happened to the baby, but yeah.
I can't imagine asking that question though, because you never know if someone's like lost the baby and if it's something horrific that you don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's a beautiful experience that has occurred.
Yeah, yeah, I guess people just don't really know. But there were some people actually at the end of the school year last year, one parent in particular, that I don't think I'd said more than 2 words to her all year long. And at the end of the year, she came and she's like, "Here, I knit your baby some slippers." I was like, "Oh, thanks." I didn't know what to say, so I just took them.
Took them and sent them to Victoria, right?
I gave them to the parents. Yeah. Here, Mom at Henry School knit these for you guys. I haven't talked to her yet, so I don't know if she knows the story. But
Okay, let's see. Oh, I scrolled too far up now. Okay. Did people in public make rude comments about the number of children you have, or were having while pregnant without knowing your situation? How did you handle it? 3 seems to be a large family now.
yeah, and especially since I'm always by myself, the children, right? I often get that, whoa, you've got your hands full, or you're going to have your hands full. Wow, 3? Yeah. Oh, yeah. All the time. My kids are pretty crazy too, so yeah. I always get awkward comments.
Someone's calling me, and I'm just gonna. I think it might actually be my mom. Oh, she'll understand. Pretty sure that was my mom. Okay, let me just scroll up here. Oh, were your first pregnancy symptoms, or were the pregnancy symptoms with like your first children different than with the third?
They were all the same.
Hey, hang on. We're gonna talk to my mom for a second. Hi, Mom. I'm just on a Google Live Hangout chat right now. Can you? Okay, can you call and talk to Gareth? Okay, but I'm live on the air right now. Okay, bye. All right. Okay, everything's fine.
Yeah,
Sorry.
they were the same with all the children. I never got sick with any of them. I didn't. Yeah, they were the same. The only difference was actually with this one. It was really interesting. I got kidney stones on the left hand side of my body. Um, Also, I got this is you guys are gonna think I'm weird. I also got my finger slammed in a garage door, my left hand side, and then I got stung by wasps, also on the left hand side of my body. Twice I got stung by wasps. This is all like nearing the end of the pregnancy. The grandmother of the baby, she's kind of how can I explain her? She's an astrologer and she's kind of spiritual, and she said that the left hand side actually denotes the mother side, and she said all these things are bugging you on your left hand side, I think because you aren't like feeling motherly. She
Oh.
did, she did it in a very nice way, and I like often said, like I'm not feeling the attachment I feel like I should have to this baby, like I didn't have that attachment that I felt to the other children, so
Hmm.
maybe the universe was trying to tell me something. I don't know. Now I
Wow.
said on air.
Did you find the healing process different from either
Yeah, well,
pregnancy?
it was a lot faster. Um, yeah, I mean, I felt a lot better because I was sleeping through the night. Because I wasn't nursing, though, I let my milk dry up. I was gonna donate to the milk bank, but after one day of pumping, I realized that was not for me, the pumping. And I wanted to focus on myself as well. I wanted to just kind of get out of town and do my own thing. So I let my milk dry up, and because I wasn't nursing, I bled a little bit longer, and my uterus took a bit longer to contract. But all in all, I mean, like getting full night's sleep after you give birth, wow, that really helps.
Yeah, I can even imagine. Wow.
Yeah, it felt a lot better, a lot faster.
Yeah, I know. After giving birth to Milo, Gareth was in the room and was sleeping in the chair across the room and was snoring the whole night, and he kept me awake. So, sorry. It
Well,
happened.
you just want to sleep after you give birth, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, someone just said, I wonder, or that was my next question, if you had pumped for the baby. So, did you, um, after giving birth, did you pump any milk for the baby straight after, like the colostrum or anything, or did you
Yeah,
wean
so
that?
I had to hand express the colostrum, which we did. The midwives helped me with that. That's really tricky to do. So we did that for the baby, as well as pumped. She was only in town for one day when my milk came in before they went back to Victoria. So the mom actually took hormones and started pumping herself about 6 weeks before I gave birth. So she was
Oh,
producing milk, and she still is right now. She tried to nurse Brielle, but whenever Brielle would latch, because she was only getting drops of milk, she would get really frustrated. And they tried doing the tube thing, and it was just so the tube thing is actually you have your milk or formula in a bag and then a tube attached to it so the baby can still latch on at your breast, but there's a tube there as well. And so I guess when Brielle was sucking, the tube would actually kind of go down her throat a little bit, then she would choke, and they just found that whole setup to be very uncomfortable um, and kind of difficult to manage. So the mom is still pumping. She gets about an ounce a day. Um, but she's just so set on having her body do something for the baby that she doesn't want to let go of this pumping thing. So she's pumping, and the baby's getting an ounce of, yeah, the mom's breast milk a day, which that pumping is not very much fun. Yeah, kudos to her for doing it, but she just so badly wanted to do, she tried 5 times to get pregnant, so she wanted her body to do something for the baby.
that's kind of beautiful, though. Like, I mean, even that bit is going to like increase the bond, right?
Yeah, and even for Brielle's health, it's really important for the parents that she gets that breast milk. So
So would the, and I mean, this may seem like a silly question, but I'm not even sure. Would the like breast milk that comes on after you give birth, is it like different than if it like if you're taking hormones to create it? Is it like is I don't know what's do you know
well,
the
she
difference?
only had to take the hormones at the beginning just to get her milk coming in, just to get her milk to come in. So now that her body's producing milk, she doesn't take the hormone. She doesn't have to take the hormones anymore. I'm not too sure how long she actually took the hormones for, but I have heard of other cultures where like aunts nurse the babies, grandmothers nurse the babies, whichever woman is around will be the one that's nursing the baby. It's not only the mother that's nursing the baby. It's kind of a community of women, and
Yeah.
babies can just nurse from whatever woman. So, I mean, and a lot of them probably have not given birth, especially if it's a grandmother, but their bodies will still produce the milk. So I think that's really
That,
lovely. But I was
that's
not
really,
comfortable with having the baby nurse at my breast. Yeah.
that's understandable though, right? Because I mean, she's going to be with her parents, right? So
Yeah.
that would have maybe even made it a bit more difficult if you would have had that bond of breastfeeding.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I wouldn't want the parents to see that either. See me nursing their baby that way, and I don't know. I just thought that that would be it just would be uncomfortable for us to do it that way.
yeah,
So
I agree. I
I'm
think I
pumped
would
for one
felt the
day.
same. Say that again.
I just pumped for one day. Thank
That's
you for that.
okay. I've got a few other questions here. Ooh, this is a good one. So, what would you say to someone who is um, considering being a surrogate? So, Sanella had mentioned earlier, I think I accidentally scrolled past it, that she's considering being a surrogate for her sister. So she's looking for some like pros, cons, anything you would do differently. What can you advise her on?
I would do nothing differently. I think that the way that we did it turned out really fantastic. I think that I got the best possible relationship and the best possible outcome. I think maybe just be very clear of everybody's roles and everybody's expectations. I mean, I guess in any relationship, a successful relationship probably has clear expectations. Um, and it's very much with this full surrogacy thing. I knew going into it that they weren't going to be controlling what I was eating. They weren't going to be controlling how I was going to be giving birth. They weren't going to be controlling that stuff. And that was important to me that I was still going to be able to make those choices. Some people maybe would be willing to give up their bodies and their lives for somebody else for that, 40 weeks. Um, but I think just having those clear expectations, knowing everybody's role, would probably get you the best outcome.
So what would you say then to someone who is considering being a surrogate? Like any sage advice on
Do
anything
it.
maybe that you haven't mentioned?
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah, I mean, you. I think it's best if the surrogate has had their own children and has been pregnant and has given birth. I think if you've never been pregnant and never given birth, I don't think that it's the best thing to do because you don't know how your body or how your mind is going to react to pregnancy and birth, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I knew that I already had two very successful births and pregnancies, so chances were better that I was going to have another successful birth and pregnancy. Whereas people who are very healthy, they can have very difficult births or even difficult pregnancies. I don't think that you'd want to do that to yourself.
So I know that, and I'm not actually sure if you did this with your other pregnancies, but I know when you were in Victoria, you were doing some work with placentas and like drying placentas, and you were encapsulating them, correct?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
I do placenta encapsulation, and I did it with both of my children. With this one, the placenta is still in my freezer. I didn't encapsulate it because the placenta is made out of the embryo, and this embryo was not genetically attached to me at all. It was an egg donor and this man's sperm, and I didn't see how that would be beneficial to me. I did, however, start taking. I still have some pills from my previous children. I did start taking some of their pills, but it does help increase milk production. So you don't really want to do that if you're trying to dry up. But it just does help balance out your hormones and kind of help you with the healing process with the extra iron.
Wow.
Yeah.
So just a slight segue, but for people who aren't familiar with the benefits of, and I did the same with Milo's placenta. But I sort of delayed the process for Molly's, and then I got grossed out because I was reminded of like the weird aftertaste and stuff. Yeah. So, anyways, what are the benefits to doing that?
What the proven benefits are the placenta's high in iron, so you're getting a natural boost of iron. I don't know, people who are on iron supplements often get constipated. Not a lot of it is absorbed by your system. This iron is easy on your digestive, and it's all absorbed by your system. You're kind of putting stuff back into your body that came from your body. It's a lot easier on you, and it's kind of like they say it's like a multivitamin tailored specifically for you.
Oh, that just I had someone or Mel again put I am so in awe of you. You're like the Wonder Mom. Oh.
Sometimes being really awkward and uncomfortable. But thank you, Mel. Thank you. um, but yeah, no, the placenta stuff is it's good also to help you heal a lot faster. Just having that iron, that extra boost of iron helps when you're losing so much blood.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I'm just scrolling here just to see if there was any other.
Yeah, nobody wanted this placenta, so I'm keeping it in my freezer, and I think I'm gonna plant a tree next time
Oh,
or something, and plant it over the placenta, right? Something nice like that.
okay. I think that's it for the questions on there. Unless, hang on. Um, did you offer the placenta to the mother, or did you feel too weird to ask if she wanted it? Did you consider it?
Yeah, no, I talked to her about it. She didn't want it. Again, it's not any part of her either. And I don't even know if she would have been into it if it was part of her. But I think it would have really helped her milk. It would have probably helped her milk increase. But um, yeah, they weren't interested. And I even suggested, do you want to plant a tree or something with it? And they said, no, thank you. But they're very cool with me doing whatever I want with it.
That's cool. uh, I've got Wee Mashad, who's another person. Um, more questions. Okay. She just jumped on late, so I think she'll be watching the chat. So she wants to know, or sorry, this is another one from the Country Bumpkins from Kaylene. She wants to know, did you keep any memento from the pregnancy or birth?
That's a good question. I actually, the card that the parents gave me, every once in a while they'd mail me a card, like when they would have to send me maybe a check, or if they had to send me a bag of, I don't know, prenatals or whatever, they would often include a card, and it was always like a really nice sentiment, and I've kept the cards, and will probably always keep the cards. Sometimes I read them because they really make me feel good. But that's it. That's the only thing I kept. It is kind of weird. It's kind of weird to think that that actually happened 3 months ago. It seems like it didn't actually happen, or it was a dream. Maybe I should have kept something else to remind me. But yeah, that would have been nice.
Do you have any new stretch marks from that one? Because I mean, that's a definite keepsake.
Yeah. No, no. But maybe I should get a new tattoo to commemorate her birth or something. That'll be a good excuse for another tattoo.
Okay. There are a few seconds. Oh yeah, they're saying they want to do the tree thing, or they definitely would have done the tree thing. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we're getting close to an hour, and there's still like 6 people queuing in here. Maybe we'll just chat just for a few more minutes and just see if any new questions come up. And I mean, is there anything that you can think of that you want to add that you haven't shared yet? Oh, you know what? I thought of a question. Um, have Henry and Sonia, what have you explained to them? What have their thoughts on this process been
Well, you know
so far?
what?
And I know that like when they're older.
Yeah, no, they like I said, they knew when I met these parents that the reason why we were meeting them is because mommy might grow a baby for them. Um, and my children think that this is very normal. They have actually said to people who are pregnant, "Oh, is that your baby or is it somebody else's? Whose baby are you growing?" They're like, "Oh, it's mine." "Oh, that's nice." They just they think it's completely normal. And people would say to them when they would see us out, "Oh, are you going to have a new baby brother or baby sister?" They'd be like, "No. No, that's James, or yeah, that's not our baby." So, yeah, they think it's completely normal, and they love seeing pictures of her, and sometimes they ask about her, but yeah, just when we go to Victoria, obviously, they want to go see her, and they don't think that there's
Wow.
nothing special about me. Nothing special about their mom. Nothing special about this process. Which
That's pretty cool.
I think it's great because I think that it's important for them to feel normal and not to feel all weirded out. And it's important that they knew what was happening and that they weren't kind of kept in the dark or surprise, we're not taking the baby, nothing like that.
Were they home?
Also, the children also the children think that they know how people get pregnant. They think that you go to the doctor and the doctor puts the embryo inside the mummy. But they also know that the embryo comes from the daddy and the mummy. But I love that they think that's how you get pregnant. I'm not ready
That's
to
adorable.
explain yet.
No, I'm not either, and I'm kind of thankful that even with Ella being 8, it still hasn't gone that route. Like she said, um, if she sees a show, she'll be like, "They're having sex," and I'm like, "What is that?" And she's like, "It's kissing. They don't have clothes on and they're kissing," and I'm like, "We're just gonna go with that." That's yeah. Although now you're probably questioning what type of show she was watching, but it wasn't that. But yeah, I'm okay with her not asking for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
So will they have like a relationship with, like you said, you feel like their family? Will they have a relationship with her in the future? Like you said, or did you said that it would be like cousin and auntie, right?
Yeah, yeah. The Brielle will know that she was born from me, that she grew inside of me. That was one thing that the parents are very much, when I met them, they said that they're building a community. They want Brielle to know that all these people came together to create her and all these people love her very much, right? And wanted her to exist. So even the egg donor, the woman who donated her eggs 7 years ago, she's still in their lives and she still goes over for dinner at their house every couple months, and her and I actually have met, and yeah, we're all, it is like we're all a big family now. And I liked that. I thought that was pretty important too, that the baby knew where she came from. He knew everybody's roles. So
Wow,
that
that's
was
so. So I think we're at the hour point, so I want to sort of wrap it up here.
okay.
Um, but um, yeah, I think it's amazing um, what you did and what you were able to afford that family, and now they're now able to have like a little Rael to be their own and to have their own baby to love. So it's pretty amazing, and the
Mm.
world needs more Briannas.
Wow. We all have our roles in the world.
Oh, I've got another question. Oh, okay. quick ones, and then we've got to go because it's been an hour, and I try to keep these at like an hour max. Um, Living in different locations, were the parents able to attend any midwife appointments or scans?
Yeah, so they FaceTimed in for all of the midwife appointments. The mom flew out for the first midwife appointment, and as well, they came to Calgary about 3 weeks before I gave birth. I went 10 days late, so they were a couple weeks before I gave birth. Um, so they were there for a couple midwife appointments, because at that point you're having them every week. So yeah.
That's
And
cool.
I went to Victoria as well. I went and saw them throughout the pregnancy a few times.
Great.
Hmm.
All right, so before we, and I'm going to, like, what'll happen is I'll hit stop broadcast, and then it'll just stop it from being live, so then we can chat and, like, say our goodbyes and stuff, and then
Okay.
before, not like we just hang up. But do you have anything else, any sort of last words that you want to say? Don't feel pressured if you don't. It's okay.
No, I don't know. Like if feel free to contact me if anybody has any further questions or if anybody wants to talk to me personally about anything because I really just want to share my story and I want to inspire others to seek out surrogates and maybe even become surrogates themselves. Yeah.
Fantastic. So if you're comfortable with me giving your email, I can put it like down in the description of the video because it will show up as a video after for people to watch.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. All right. Oh, somebody else said because there's a slight time delay. They said, of course, when she's naughty, they will send her to you. Ha 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 ha.
They have said that.
That's funny. All right, so we will say goodnight on here, and I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I have. And thank you so much, Bree, for doing this.
Oh, thank you for listening to my story.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.